This is a new Nigeria with Wale Oluwade. This is your current affairs program where we critically examine the strategic issues that bedevil Nigeria's developmental aspirations and boldly offer simple, audacious, and practical ideas on building the Nigeria of our collective desires. On today's episode of the program, we're going to do things a bit differently. My focus is on the Edo State Guber elections coming up September 2021 this year. So my initial idea was to invite the spokesperson or even the candidates of the leading parties. But then I realized we would spend, even if we had 5 hours, we would spend the entire time bickering, and arguing back and forth. So rather, I decided to choose the safest path, which is to do an objective analysis of the contestants or the leading candidates. And so that's what we're looking at today, to help the citizens of Edo State, the voters who are going to decide who is their next governor, make an informed decision. That's what we're looking at today. I hope after this exercise, the voters of Edo State will be better informed, to make the right choice. Because you may have the best laws, you may have the best policies, the capacity, the competence and character of the people who preside as president, as governors, and now even more important, local government chairman is extremely critical. So we'll take this short break, and when I return, we'll get right into it. Please stay with me. Welcome back. So, like I said, I'm looking at the forthcoming Edo elections today. So here's my take on the forthcoming September 21, 2024 governorship polls in Edo State. All the major political parties have conducted and made nominations for their candidates. INEC, has also listed the names of these 17 contenders, accordingly. You can see it on my screen. So in this intervention, I reduced the 17 candidates to a short list of 3. I did a short list of the entire 17 that were cleared by INEC. I perused, the information on the INEC bulletin, and I reduced them I made a short list of 3 candidates. So thereafter, upon further scrutiny, I reduced the 3 to just 2 candidates whose profiles I shall evaluate more rigorously here. But here is the earlier 3 shortlisted candidates. First, the incumbent party's candidate, the PDP's candidate, Mr. Asuerime Igodalo. Second, Labour Party's candidate, Mr. Olumide Akpata. And lastly, the APC candidate, Mr. Senator Monday Okpebolo, also from APC. So far, I have repeatedly chanced upon media engagements, that is interviews and advertisements, by the first 2 candidates, that is the PDP candidates and the Labour Party candidates. I've seen various media engagements and television adverts. I've chanced upon them on the major TV networks. However, as I speak here, I haven't seen or heard the APC candidates speak anywhere to the media or even via social media. This may be due to my limited choice of media interactions, and definitely there's no way I can possibly be on every conventional and social media platforms. So my point is this. For someone in a major political party, from a major political party that is contesting for a governorship seat, I find it a tad curious, that Senator Monday Okpebolo hasn't been on AIT, Channels TV, Arise TV, and TVC platforms for a robust media engagement, to sell his candidature and manifesto to the people of Edo State and Nigerians generally. This is, however, with great apologies to the rest 14 candidates or 15 candidates of the other parties. Perhaps they may be well qualified and capable, but they fail a strategic test, which is national visibility. Elections for state governor is way beyond just presiding over a state. Why? Such persons, people who preside as governor or deputy governor in states of Nigeria, eventually seek to become president or vice president. For context, let me give you some context. From 1999 to date, of the 5 presidents, 3 were former governors and 2 retired soldiers. Of the 5 vice presidents, 4 were former governors, and only one person was not a former governor or deputy governor. That's Professor Oshibajo. You can see it on the screen. So, of the 10 men who have either been presidents and or vice presidents, 7 of them, that is 70%, were former governors. That's critical. And this is why I say, besides Mr. Olumide Akpata of the Labour Party, Mr. Asuerime Ighodalo of the PDP, the rest do not have. Also, Senator Monday Okpebholo definitely has national visibility, but I disqualified him from my short list of 2 because I've not seen, not one, national engagement, discussing his manifesto or advertisement on any national platform, the platforms that I've mentioned, that is AIT, Channels TV, Arise TV, or TVC. I've not seen. Maybe it's localized his engagements, media engagements, or advertisements to just Edo State. But like I just said, contesting to be governor of a state, carries huge significance beyond the limitation of the state you want to preside over. Because eventually, such persons, when they leave office, want to become either vice president or president from the statistics I just gave you, So, but here's the deal. You see, elections have serious consequences. No, actually, elections have life or death, prosperity or poverty, and freedom or bondage repercussions. I have perused the qualifications of the 17 candidates and their deputies. Most stated their qualifications to be first school living certificates or WAEC, and I laugh. You know why? Though I am not amused in the least bit. That's the minimum requirement as prescribed by our laws in Nigeria. But here's the great irony for you viewers to ponder over. While a management trainee position in a bank requires a minimum good first degree, and I stress good first degree, meaning to get recruited or employed in a bank as a management trainee, that's entry level, the bank requires you to possess a minimum good, that is second class, upper, or first class, or even higher than that. So that is the minimum requirement to be employed as a management trainee or entry level, job in a bank. And these are for persons usually not older than 25 years. But to become president or state governor in Nigeria, or senator or House of Reps, that is people who are going to be providing governance and leading state administrators, doctors, engineers, architects, economists, dentists, pharmacists, geologists, army generals, policemen, entrepreneurs, traders, artisans, labor unions, etc. And also checkmating and outsmarting all the crooks, terrorists, kidnappers, pipeline vandals, economic saboteurs, etc. in between, the good guys, plus represent us, in the gatherings of enlightened peoples of the world. We didn't just bring the criteria for leadership selection low. That's not what we did. We actually removed the bar completely. To be employed as a management trainee in a bank, I just told you what the qualification is. The minimum qualification to be employed in any, reputable organization, not just financial services, is minimum good first degree. And I mean good first degree, meaning second class, upper, or first class, or even higher degrees. But to become president of Nigeria, who coordinates the activities of the military, the intelligence agencies, the economy, the business sector, the private sector, and all of that, or governors, or senators, or House of Reps, we didn't just reduce the bar for qualifications. We actually removed the bar entirely. So that any riffraff, street urchin, motor park tout, and just about anyone with the right connections or money can buy up or get gifted our highest political offices. And yet we wonder why we are the way we are. Yes, I agree. It is true that education doesn't guarantee good governance. Yet, if a hospital fires a medical doctor for medical malpractice or negligence, would you hire a plumber or mechanic to replace such medical doctor that you fired? I guess no. You will still hire a medical doctor. So, while good academic and professional qualifications are fundamental and critical. The other aspects, which is the basis of this intervention, is that the character and antecedents of the candidates for public offices are even, of far more, critical, scrutiny. They demand for far more critical scrutiny. So I'll take this short break, and when I return, I'll do a SWOT analysis on the top 2 candidates I earlier mentioned. So please, don't go anywhere. Stay with me, please. Welcome back. So, like I said, I'll be doing a SWOT analysis to examine the bona fides of each of these 2 candidates, Mr. Olumide Akpata and Mr. Asuerime Ighodalo. A SWOT analysis is what we do as management, in management consulting, to assess the strength, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats a business faces. But then we've stretched that to include individuals also doing a SWOT analysis to assess your own strength or suitability for positions or confronting life issues generally. So here's a SWOT analysis on Mr. Olumide Akpata. He's a 51 years old barrister, got his LLB degree in law in '92 from the University of Ibadan, University of Benin, and his Bachelor of Laws from the Nigerian Law School, 1993. That is, he spent 30 years in legal practice. He was a former Nigerian Bar Association president from 2020 to 2022. He's also been the managing partner of Templars Law Practice in Lagos. He's extremely articulate. He has firm grasp of issues, stable temperament, and national visibility. On weaknesses, he's perceived to be a new entrant into Nigerian murky waters of politics. On opportunities, when in one of the campaign rallies that I saw, Mr. Olumide Akpata visited the Oba's palace, the Oba gave a strong acknowledgement that he is indeed a son of the soil and that he's well known to the palace. That in fact, when he was going to contest for, when he was going to vie for the leadership of the Nigerian Bar Association, the Oba acknowledged that he did put in a good word on his behalf. Secondly, in terms of opportunity, he also has the strong backing of the immediate former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, is going around with him on the campaign grounds. So he enjoys the huge support of Mr. Peter Obi, who has a huge youth, following. And like I said, Olumide Akpata is perceived as a son of the soil. He's a true-born Edo son. He also has a huge youth, followership. His campaign is largely based on targeted at the youth demography. Of course, don't forget the Labour Party proved all doubters and skeptics wrong in the last 2023 general elections, where Mr. Peter Obi scored, I think, 6 million votes, if I'm not mistaken, largely from youth voters. Also, Mr. Olumide Akpata enjoys high bankability, meaning if he needs money, should not be a problem for him. He is able to pull resources from friends. He's highly connected. May I also add that he's an old boy of the King's College in Lagos. Olumide Akpata also enjoys very high likability. He's a guy you just can't help but like, and there's a video I want you to watch to prove to you how likable Mr. Olumide Akpata is. Watch this video. Okay, it just makes me feel like I want to dance too, So can you see why you cannot help but like Olumide Akpata? I mean, if you have a governor who can dance, shake his body like you just watched, I think that brings a lot of fun, to the serious heart of governance. And I guess I mean, the dancing governor in Osun State should brace up. If Olumide wins, the dancing governor in Osun State should brace up for a stiff competition from Mr. Olumide Akpata. Now, what are the threats Olumide's candidacy faces? Zoning formula. Olumide is from Edo South. A major threat to Olumide's candidature is the zoning formula, which works against him. Also, internal party wranglings. So that's a threat to his candidature, because a house divided against itself cannot stand. Also, there's the Labour Party in Edo State is perceived to be anti-establishment party. Another threat to his candidacy is INEC's neutrality. This is big. This is huge. In fact, all the other ones not even matter. The biggest threat to Olumide's to this state's candidate's bid for the governorship is INEC's neutrality. If what INEC did in Imo State and in Kogi State in the off-cycle season last year, November, if it's anything to go by, then I worry for what's going to happen in Edo State and later on Ondo State. And lastly, federal government's interference. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I saw him on TV saying, "I would win Edo for you." He made it. He said it openly. I would deliver Edo for you, or something in that manner. That is not the way, you know, a president should speak when elections for state governorships, you know, are being conducted. You are saying you are at that level now. Even yes, you have a candidate of your party, but then you should just go there, you know, and campaign for your party candidate. Let me come to Mr. Asuerime Ighodalo of the PDP, candidate of the PDP. Is 64 years old. So his strength is 64 years old, had a BSc or has a BSc in economics from the University of Ibadan, 1981. And then he went to the London School of Economics in 1984 to bag a law degree. And then in 85, he got his Bachelor of Laws degree from the Nigerian Law School. So he spent 40 years, almost 40 years in the bar. He is the managing partner of Banwo and Ighodalo, a corporate finance law firm in Lagos that focuses more on the securities, the capital markets, energy law practice, corporate finance practice, and all of that. And he is seen as a boardroom guru of sorts. He's been chairman of Sterling Bank, chairman of Dangote Flour Mills, chairman of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. You know, the NASG, that's the body that supervises the private sector, you know, the economy generally, or the private sector in Nigeria. He's been the chairman of that body. He's been a director of the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority. Mr. Asuerime Ighodalo is extremely articulate. He has a firm grasp of issues, local, foreign issues, you know, business issues, legal issues, and all of that. Of course, his economics degree from Nigeria's premier institution, UI, helps him, gives him a great advantage in that regard. He has a stable temperament, and he has, you know, national visibility. Like I said earlier on, he has great national visibility. There are pictures you can see on your screen of Mr. Ighodalo, you know, mingling with the powers that be in Nigeria, the president and ministers and, you know, the business sector. Now, what are some of his weaknesses? Like his other candidates, he's also perceived as a new entrant into party politics generally. This is actually his first foray and his first bid, you know, in politics in Nigeria. What are the opportunities that avails to him? He has solid incumbency factor. Solid incumbency factor. And this speaks a lot. I need to give credit to someone, the current governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, for backing, you know, Mr. Asuerime Ighodalo, you know, to take over from him. You know, if that works out, that would be fantastic. Likewise, like Olumide, Asuerime also has a lot of youth support. He's 64 years old, but most of the campaigns I've seen, the people driving Asuerime's campaigns are largely the youth of Edo State. They've carried Asuerime's matter on their head in using local parlance. Also, Asuerime has huge likability. He's a guy you cannot but like, especially for someone like me, you know, who likes people, you know, like Asuerime. You know, I like people like Asuerime. I like people like Olumide Akpata. I'll speak more on that likability briefly also. Zoning advantage works for Asuerime Ighodalo. Lastly, on opportunities, ASUA also enjoys extreme, bankability. Meaning, ASUA is a boardroom guru. He used to be the chairman of a bank. He used to be the chairman of Dangote Flour Mills. All the banking big boys, the Jim Ovias of this world, the Femi Otedolas of this world, chairman of First Bank, chairman of Zenith, all the big banking boys, the Aliko Dangotes of this world, the Femi Otedolas of this world, they're all ASUA Ighodalo's best buddies. So, I even imagine if ASUA intended to run for president of Nigeria and is able to clinch, the ticket of a major political party, ASUA will not have any difficulty raising 50 billion naira or 100 billion. That's how bankable ASUA Ighodalo, seems to me from evidence, from all available evidence. Now, finally, threats, legal issues. ASUA Ighodalo's candidature is facing serious legal issues. Recently, a high court in Abuja of Justice Inyang Ekwo, if I got that right, gave a judgment, that a certain number of people, 378 if I'm not mistaken, were wrongfully disenfranchised, and so he nullified the process or whatever, something of that sort. So if Nigerians want to be mischievous against your candidature, one of the ways they do is to find willing or compliant judges, and so you find the judiciary coming into what is purely a political matter. And as a layman of law, of the legal profession, what is settled, jurisprudence in Nigeria, where Supreme Court has said, whatever candidate the national body, the National Working Committee of a political party presents, that's the person that the INEC should work with. But we wait and see how that plays out. Another threat also is federal government's overt or covert interference. Like I mentioned earlier when I was talking about Olumide Akpata, you cannot rule that out. We all know how a federal government that looms large, that's got its tentacles everywhere, that controls especially the instruments of coercive force in Nigeria, the police, the military, and all of that, they can do a lot of damage to anybody's political ambition in this country. And, we wait and see how the federal government, the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu government, how they intend to play in Edo State. Former governor of Edo State, Mr. Adams Oshiomhole, is a man Friday of the president. So if the president believes it's time for him to support his body any which way, so we wait and see how that plays out. If the federal government, if the president decides to go broke, as it were, and damn the consequences, they can have their way. But would they I don't take it lightly. We watch and see. And finally, on threats to ASUA's candidacy is INEC's neutrality. I spoke about that earlier. Is INEC going to be neutral? Would they play by the rule? Would they adhere to their own rules of engagement? Or would they play, servile? Would they play ball to desperate politicians who wants to have their way by hook or crook? That needs to be seen. So now, I've given you the SWOT analysis of these two guys. You've seen it on your screens, But finally, as I prepare to round up now, here's the general assessment that's also very critical. These two gentlemen are the kinds of governorship candidates I dream every state in Nigeria should present going forward. I believe Edo State is blessed to have them as leading contenders for the top job in that state. You know why? Both men are decent, honorable, and enlightened in their world views. You can hardly hear any crude or gutter language from them. Since this campaign cycle began, I've not witnessed any mudslinging or personal attacks, no violence of any sort, at least that I've heard of since this entire process, began. This says a lot about their character and temperaments as Democrats and decent men. Sadly, only one can be governor per time. And I tell you, choosing one over the other is going to be difficult for me because I actually like and admire both of these, individuals. If you follow this program for any length of time, it will be easy to understand why I admire these two people. The kind of person I am, the people that I like to associate with, these are the kinds of people I like. And I think if Nigeria is ever going to have a fair shot of turning a corner, assuming our position in the global stage of civilized societies of the world, these are the kinds of people, that we need to have presiding as president, as governors, as local government, chairmen. These men are accomplished and successful professionals who, for the love of country, have decided to get involved in our dirty brand and highly unpredictable terrain of politics. I am a great fan of persons who embody knowledge, competence, and good character. It also helps if they are understated in their attitude to material things. It matters to me that as a human being, regardless of how wealthy you are highly understated. There's a certain obscenity in material display, that puts me off completely. So I totally detest ostentation and obscene display of wealth. It's always a red flag to watch out for in anyone wishing to be a political leader in Nigeria. No, so I'll save my final endorsement until a fortnight, before the elections. I'm sorry, I'm sure I disappointed you. You're waiting eagerly to hear me, make my choice. I'll keep that, until 2 weeks before election day. But may I, at this juncture, appeal to the President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the judiciary, and INEC leadership. Kindly refrain from interfering in Edo elections, in Ondo elections coming up. Let the people of Edo and Ondo State choose their governors. To INEC specifically, do not repeat the sort of disgraceful and violent exercises we witnessed in Kogi and Imo States in November 11, 2023. A repeat of such shambolic and utterly disgusting exercises can only spell doom for this so-called democracy. I would urge INEC national national officers to think of the legacy, because history, you are writing your pages in the history books by your actions every day. What would you be remembered for when everything is said and done? And that's my take today on the Edo governorship election. Like I said, stay tuned, for the concluding part of this, where I would, announce my preferred candidates. It's going to be tough, like I said, but only one person can be, governor of a state at a time. So I would announce that 2 weeks before elections. Thank you for listening. And that's the end of the show today. Follow me on my various social media handles. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can watch this particular video and all the other videos that are there. Drop me your comments. I'd love to hear from you. And let me say this. I've never met either of these two men before. I don't know them from anywhere. Nobody reached out to me to do this. This is my own patriotic duty as a Nigerian in deepening, participatory democracy in our dear country, Nigeria. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.